Job hunt and mining information video. Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters, and in today's video we are going to have a look at where the jobs are in the industry and where I know I can help people get jobs, and we're going to talk a bit about the onboarding process today. So we've had a question come up in the comments in the YouTube section last night actually that's a really good question that I'm going to cover with that. But first off, I just want to go over to Seek and type mining truck in and just be really clear with everybody that 5 years ago this page would have been filled with surface truck driving jobs. Even 2 years ago it would have been filled with surface truck driving jobs. But now all these jobs, or the majority of these jobs, are all underground jobs. So there's an underground one there in WA, there's one in South Australia, there's one in Tasmania, WA again, WA again, WA again, New South Wales, WA, New South Wales, WA, Queensland, WA, New South Wales. There's just jobs everywhere around the country in the hard rock underground mining space. And the reason for that is that they can't turn the underground trucks driverless. They need bums in seats, unfortunately. It's not like the surface trucks, where in the majority of the mines they can turn them driverless, and that's what the employers are doing. In the underground space, they need bums in seats. And so this is where your job's going to be, but it's not in every section of the industry. So it's really important, like we talk about at the start of every video, where the prices of all the commodities are. And as you can see, the gold price is extremely high again. It's hit another all-time high in Aussie dollars, so it was $4,393 an ounce it closed at. So this is the close. It's down a bit on that. This is the price that you'd go down and buy it from the Perth Mint. So there's the extra on top of that. The point of that, what I'm trying to make, is that the gold mines and copper mines, because the copper price is $14,500 Australian a tonne as well, that's really high, and so that's where they need people, and that's where everybody's ramping up production. And when you go through and have a look at these job ads, you'll find that the majority of these jobs are in copper and gold mines. The reason for that they're not in coal mines is because of the coal price. 2.5 years ago, this price was $350 a tonne US. Now it's $110 a tonne US. I don't have to tell you that makes a significant difference to how many people that they're going to hire, the need to replace people, and whether the mine's actually going to stay operational or not. Coal's not my area of expertise, but I've been told by people that I know within the industry that it is. Whenever it's below $150 US a tonne, there's a lot of mines that become really borderline, so they're really watching what they're doing, and they're probably just fulfilling contracts at the moment. And so once those contracts are up and the liabilities gone, because you've got to fulfill your contracts, then the mine might go into care and maintenance or whatever they're going to do with it. So it's just it is what it is at that low price. Iron ore sort of hovering around $100 the mark. Iron ore, the price isn't the issue, it's the driverless is the issue. They've gone absolutely crazy with driverless, and the new jobs that they've created with the driverless, if you're going to get into that area of the industry, it is what it is. All of it's sub $100,000 a year. You get to live in Perth, you get to do week on, week off and all that sort of stuff, but the majority of the people that I know that are doing that work are sort of making $75,000-$80,000 a year cash doing it. And it is what it is, but if you're going to get into mining, you're going to get in for the money, and if you want the money in mining, you need to be on the mine site doing the actual job. So I just want to go over to our question, and our questions is over here. Are owner-operators more forgiving to new starters underground than contractors? Yes, but only by a little bit. What it really comes down to, and what I've said in the answer down here, is that one of the reasons why we wrote the training back in the day is that as shift bosses we weren't happy with the buddy system, because what ends up happening, and this is with the owner operators and the contractors, is that safety and training, they don't actually do any training. If you're lucky, they might have an experienced truck driver that just permanently trains people on site. And if you're lucky enough to get somebody like that, then you've got a decent shot of making it. But unfortunately, when gold's the price that it is and copper's the price that it is, and they're just pouring people through, 9 times out of 10 it's just another truck driver that's training you, or somebody off service crew, or somebody with a little bit of experience that knows what they're doing, that they've just asked to show you the ropes. And that's where the trouble comes in, because it is what it is, and sometimes you just get showed by a buddy that's only been shown themselves, and so they might not know. The person that's showing you might have communication problems. Not everybody's the best communicator that works in these mines, and there could be a straight out personality clash. So the whole idea behind what we wanted to do with the training was to give you as a new starter, and I'm coming over to the Underground Training website, and I've logged into my account, Mining Coach, and we're going to go over to basic mine site operation. And it was just to give a new starter, this is everything that we wanted a new starter to know that was coming on our crew as a shift boss, so we felt that they could operate safely underground, and once we're happy and we could see that they could operate, that they would be able to be left alone. And that's the big thing with all this. With the buddy system, they'll only give you a certain amount of time to get your shit together, and if you can't get your shit together in that time, they'll ramp the pressure up to the point that you don't want to be there. And I've seen it happen time and time and time again. And I hear students that give me feedback that get jobs, they watch it happen firsthand. It just is what it is. It's nobody's fault. It's just the system. It's the way the legislation's set up. The employers have got no choice, because people don't. There's no incentive for anybody to do any formal qualifications, because nobody couldn't use it. That's why we're not an RTO. If we were an RTO, we'd have to charge you probably $6,000 to $8,000 for the DIY instead of $495, but it's not going to do any different. The employer still couldn't use that qualification. They still have to make sure when you go to site that they can prove in a court of law that they've done everything they can to train you and keep you safe and all that sort of wonderful stuff. And so that means that when you get to site, it's all on-site equipment tickets and on-site procedures, so they've got all that paperwork in place. But the best thing that you can do as a new starter is to learn all this before you go, because this is what people struggle with. And I think it's because they get hit with a wall of information, and it literally is a wall of information. And we'll just go and have a look at ventilation just to show you, just a little chunk of information that's going to be put to you. So this is how the primary ventilation system works. So it sucks down the main decline through the extraction fans on the surface, and that's what pulls all the ventilation through. And the secondary vent comes down, the primary vent comes down the main decline, the fans on the backs pick up that primary air, pump it into the levels, and that circulates it through, and then the bad air comes back out, or the air that we've used comes back out, and then it gets pushed through the system back up to the top again and out through the extraction fans. And normally this takes most mines departments around the country, they want this to happen in 20 to 40 minutes, and they do tests on it all the time. So the engineers will jump up the top there and they'll let some smoke flares through and make it go through and see how long it takes before they see the smoke come out of the vent up the top. But that's the way it all works. There's some a vent fan, and there's a T-piece, and so you can have a look at the vent bag. There's more stuff on vent bags in the service crew section, but that just illustrates how ventilation works. And it's only a small chunk, but you've got to know how that works. And while they hit you with all this information while they're trying to teach you how to drive the truck, and it just becomes information overload, and people prioritise learning to drive the truck, which is fair enough. But as soon as you are competent with driving the truck up and down the decline, they're going to expect you to be able to go by yourself. And if you can't go by yourself straight away, then there's going to be issues. And the longer the buddy's with you, the more they ramp up the pressure. And the reason they ramp up the pressure with the buddy is because, like I was saying before, the buddy's not normally a designated person for training. Normally they're just somebody else doing another job. So every day that the buddy's spending with you extra is time that they're away from doing their job. So not only are they paying two people to do the one job that you're doing at the moment, they're also missing out on what the buddy should be doing elsewhere. And this is the biggest issue for the employers, and that's why there's so much turnover turnover, and it's just a matter of, they need the people to be able to pick it up quite quickly. And if you can't pick it up quite quickly, then you can end up in trouble. And that's what ends up happening, unfortunately. And the idea of my videos isn't to scare people as such. My idea of the videos is to inform people of what they're getting themselves into and give them a solution to the problem. So, like this, this guy's a bit worried about he's going to fail. And, unfortunately, if you go in green, the statistics say that you've got more chance of failing than you do of succeeding. But if you go in and you've done the training, so you've done the intro to underground mining, all these 3 packages come with the online training, so it just depends if you want some help or not. But you've already got the job, so just do the DIY. And it's got all that information in there that they want you to know. You've probably got a little bit of time before they mobilise you to site, and that's going to give you time to absorb all this information from the training that you can do. So if you come down here and we expand that, and you'll see it goes through it all: ground support, development mining, taking a cut, it goes through everything. And if we go back through and have a look at the truck operation course, this teaches you the whole job. It's everything, right from the start to the finish. Operating the trucks, how the articulated trucks work, focus points when turning. It teaches you everything that the buddy should be showing you in the truck. Up and down, how to drive it up and down the decline, getting loads, getting in under loading bays, why they need loading bays, how not to piss bogger operators off, dumping the loads, so paddock dumping, if you're required to dump over buns, why they're there and why you shouldn't if you're not, and you're tipping near the edge, and everything that they need you to know and the buddy should be showing you in the truck and on the job is all in the training here. Because, we got sick of shift bosses of watching people go with buddies that aren't very experienced. And we get stories like this all the time coming back from people that do the training and get jobs that got a buddy on one of these mine sites that wasn't very experienced, but were able to muddle through themselves because they had the information from the training to make it work for themselves. But it is what it is, and there's lots of jobs all over the country. All you have to do is type underground into Seek. This is for the last 7 days. But you can go back further, and you've got service crew, truck, service technician. So that's in Mount Isa. They're looking for entry-level people. I posted that job on the Facebook on the Facebook account and the YouTube account the other day. Underground truck drivers in the hills of Adelaide. There's just work everywhere. And like I said at the start of the video, 5 years ago or even 2 years ago, most of this work would be on the surface, but now because of all the driverless trucks, the jobs have dried up. So if you want a good paying career that's going to be long term and you've got a really good career path, then the hard rock underground mining section is for you. And you can go through all the way through and grab a jumbo operator job at some stage. And the jumbo operator jobs, Redpath were looking for a jumbo operator to go to Indonesia, and they were looking to pay anything up to $410,000. And if you have a look through these job ads, you'll see that job come up. But it's just, everybody wants experienced people because they need people that they can throw in the deep end. If you know how the mine works, you become one of those people that they can throw in the deep end. And that's the secret to getting a mining job. So I hope you found that information helpful and I answered that person's question. It's not that you should be scared of getting a job and going in. You just need to be aware of the situation and just understand that, it's not deliberate. It's just the way the system works, and mines are very fluid places. You can't always count on the person that should be training you to be the best person to be training you. It's just going to be whoever you get at the time, and they'll do their best, and sometimes their best isn't very good, unfortunately, and it just is what it is. I feel like saying welcome to mining, but it's frustrating that people think that they're going to get this little cocoon that they're going to be able to... I suppose the employers are a little bit to blame with this, with some of the ads, especially the surface ones. The underground ones aren't. They're pretty upfront with everybody about how difficult it's going to be. When you do your interview with you, a lot of the interviews lately are just about scaring the new starters and making sure that they still want to do it, rather than putting them through any paces, which I find is pretty funny. But it is what it is. with trying to get a job and making it past that first 6 months, but that's what you've got to do. You've got to just grit your teeth in your first job and make it past your first 6 months, and once you do, you can pretty much get a job anywhere in the country as a nipper or a truck driver or an off-sider these days. There's just work all over the place. But the first thing is to get your foot in the door, and the best way to get your foot in the door is to educate yourself so you can show the employer that you know how it all works. And like I said, reevaluate your view on what type of mining job that you want. If your dream job was being on the surface, driving a big dump truck on the surface, then it's probably time to reevaluate that to maybe being a bogger operator or a jumbo operator underground and starting off on a truck and working your way through and getting to those high paying jobs that'll give you that money that you're after. But I hope you found that information helpful, and if you could like and subscribe the channel and share this video around. Thanks.